Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. This is another recap from the live stream where we're continuing to do shuttle development. So here's Old B. Little changes that I've made. You know what? First. Gear. Alright, so where's the little gear? Nope. Actually, let's do that first. Small landing gear. We're going to entrust this entire mission to a dual set of tiny landing gears. Those actually look pretty straight. Alright, start retracted. We'll see how long those hold out. Saying the medium gear is steerable? Hold on. Does this have steering? Spring dampener? No, there's no steering invert selection. No, that would be thruster port. Yeah, there isn't one here either. Interesting. Oh, there's steering enabled. Did I miss it up here? Steering enabled. I did. Good call. Those look almost straight. Almost, not quite. That looks pretty good. Alright, start retracted. Okay, other changes that we've made. I have shifted the boosters a little further back on the EFT so that they can hopefully mitigate some of the thrust from these
RS-25s.
And we are going to try to return some cargo from space. We've got this test weight here. It's about 15 tons, 14.96 tons of avgas. We're just going to throw this thing into orbit and be done with it. And try a nice reentry. Alright, close that, take a save. Simulate, 125 minutes, simulate. Please don't crash this time. Yes, this live stream was rife with interesting errors, including the ever-present exploding launch pad. We think the addition of some facet clamps will work to mitigate that, although the changes we have made to the shuttle have reduced a little the launch pad drift. They have not eliminated it, but that's neither here nor there. It clears the VAB without too much effort. There is a little bit of this dance and wiggle as we try to get ourselves going in a straight upwardly style direction. But after we make some course adjustments, it does tend to level out and fly fairly well. Obviously, that happens after all of this. This is me trying to wrestle it to get it just to shoot right down the 90, which is what I was shooting for. And of course, it does start to fly well, relatively speaking. It's not nearly the wrestling match the Shuriken is, but most of that has to do with being able to balance the fuel a little manually instead of trying to redesign it, although I probably should shift that EFT a little further up the belly and shift the angle on the RS-25s down a little bit. That will help mitigate some of that dancing, but after booster sep, just a little bit of wiggle, but overall very easy to fly, which makes me pretty happy. We're actually going to go for a fairly high orbit, probably right around 400 by 400. We would like to accurately simulate returning some cargo back from our Tremonia station, our low Earth orbit station, just to see what kind of capabilities we have here. As I mentioned before, we've got about 15 tons of avgas sitting in the forwardmost compartment of the cargo bay. That will be our simulated test weight, although we are launching to orbit at full capacity give or take. We got about a 23-ton comm satellite back there, and then plus 15 tons of cargo. So this is about what I anticipate to be our, I shouldn't say maximum, I should say median. This is probably about the average of what the shuttle is going to be expected to do. We've got about a 55-ton maximum, and we can still hit orbit, although it will require a little kick from the OMS after main engine cutoff. But we've proved that we can do that. We've proved that we can re-enter empty, so now we're just going to try to add some weight to the equation. There's our nice smooth rollover to do this as legitimately as possible, I guess. And then just trying to adjust our angles so we're not increasing our time to periapsis incredibly fast, only mildly fast, I should say. Anyway, I'm going to turn you back over to live streaming me, who's having a lot of fun goofing off with the chat. Oh, hey, look at this. Shut down. 984 by 174. I didn't think we were going to hit orbit on the main engines. I thought we were going to have to kick on the OMS and do it that way. RCS to arm. Alright, let's stage off the EFT. Goodbye, old friend. So that'd be a very good question for Ferrum if you can catch him in one of Nathan Kell's streams. Current tonnage? Let's check. Oh, go. Oh. KSP V, you're killing me. Vessel info. I don't need docking autopilot. Vessel mass currently 110 tons. Not bad. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is kick out this ComSat thing. Armor fuel. We have local control. Actually, we don't actually need it to do much of anything. So decouple. And then we'll just pull the shuttle away from the cargo. Oh, human person, I kind of agree a whole lot. I don't know if I really like a lot of the changes to the economy system or the contract system that they've made. I certainly don't like how they've rearranged the build point stuff. And yeah, they've made like the hardest part of any RSS career, which is the first couple of years, they've just made it a lot harder. And for, I don't know, thought it was already fairly difficult enough. They didn't really need to go about doing any of that. Did I not put solar panels on this stupid thing? Well, that would be par for the course. Panels on the transfer stage. I do like a new challenge, but it just... Yeah, the tooling thing's a little weird. I mean, it's like you have to rebuy all your parts all the time. Everything just gets so much more expensive so much more quickly. Which means you need to grind on contracts, especially sounding rocket contracts, a whole lot. When I say they made it harder, I don't think they made the gameplay any harder. They made the economy portion of it harder. Really, if you want to push the limits and try to beat historical firsts, you're going to go broke real fast, and you're just going to have to keep starting over because you keep going broke. And, I don't know, going bankrupt isn't a whole lot of fun. I've done it a few times in this series. It's, oh, dang it. That's just pretty. I mean, that's how they try to sell it, which is fine because it's really a huge time sink to just redesign rockets for every single mission you run. I reuse rockets all the time. That's great. But it's those first couple of years when you're getting new engines and new, like, oh no, I did not mean to do that. Stop. Don't crush my solar panels, bro. Ugh. Those early stages when you're just you're building new rockets constantly and you're upgrading stuff because you're unlocking new engines, you have to retool everything. So you don't really save any money just by adding a new engine upgrade. I mean, I know realistically it can't because it would have. It got like halfway through them, but it just seems weird to have this closed cargo bay and ghosting your solar panels through it. Alright, and it lists us as a space station. That's even better. Alright, yeah, Cape Canaveral's still a couple hours from sunrise, but we're gonna warp over here and make our burn anyway. Yeah, it's on our way down, so we'll come in good and fast. No, I don't want to come in that deep or that early, I don't think. Variaps is 7,000. Let's dial that back a bit. We came in at like 60 last time and had quite a bit of walk. $26, I think that's still too low. Excellent summary, Wookie. Alright, I'm just going to do it manually. I've got my info over here, that's all I really need. So, shut down, gimbal lock. Yeah, actually, it probably is, Wookie. And I'm very glad that Discord is here. Y'all are awesome. Simulation gaming, that is... I think you're right, actually. Although, it would mean I can't cheat as readily as I do. I think that would be a good way to add some complexity and some difficulty without killing the experience. That's a really good idea, actually. On this install, I do not have stage recovery installed. It was not compatible when I built the install, and I don't think they actually... I think the next version that was compatible was for 1.2.1? 1.2.0? But I've not used it this whole playthrough, and it's not really phased much for me, actually, so... I've used it in other times I've played RSS, and it was a really great way to save a whole lot of money almost needlessly, but... Oh, 4 minutes out from the node. I should probably pay attention to stuff. Alright, we're going to try to bring this in as heavy as possible. Just to see what happens. Man, we're coming in from way high up, too. So this will be an excellent stress test. Ooh, we got a lot of roll here. Okay, shut it down. RCS is not compensating for that. Let's see which pair of engines we can do. Oh. Simulation. It's funny because it's true. You talking about this thing, Wookie? Yeah, that is my test weight for bringing cargo back from orbit. That's what we're trying to figure out today. How heavy we can be coming back from orbit. Okay, so the OMS engines need another angle pass. They are, wow, way off. You know, we're just gonna roll with it. Alright, 54, shut down. So, hey, it is held on by 2 struts, which is surely enough to hold its 15-ton mass. Surely, I say. Oh man, do I have any room to pump kerosene forward? I do not. Are we running straight off this tank? Yeah, that's probably a good thing. Whatever. The beams, do you mean these things? The wings? Alright, well, here goes nothing. Oh, and one other thing I did notice about the RP-1 in 1.3.1 is they added more biomes to Earth. I don't know about any other places, but they certainly have them on Earth, which is awesome. Which means more science. It can, in fact, double as bench seats. If you want to bring a couple of classmates. Oh, no, do not more time warp. More retract solar panels enclosing cargo bay. Autopilot manager, we didn't need it last time. Maybe we won't need it this one either. We are already in the atmosphere. So here we go. Okay, who created a clip? What have you done? Super interesting scenery. I assume it'll get more interesting the lower we get. Where are we going to come down, by the way? Which one are we? We're probably this one. Nope. I know we're listed as a space station. So that's probably our path. That's our periapsis. That's us there. So we play our cards right. Oh, human person. I've gone bankrupt at least 3 times in this playthrough alone. Many, many more in other playthroughs before I did this. But I encourage you to give RP1 a try and let me know how it goes for you. You might just be a lot better at strategicizing than I am. Alright, who wants to take bets on the over-under on whether or not this is actually going to work? I'd say we got about a 60-75% chance of exploding. Maybe not dying horribly. See, at least twice in this playthrough, I got screwed over by that first space station contract. It still won't award me that contract despite me having a space station, a fully functional one that's actively doing research, and I can move people to and from it all the time. Crew egress during descent. Alright, there's some of that faithful pink glow. I'm completely hands off the controls currently, and atmospheric autopilot is not engaged, so this is doing this all on its own. I'm completely content with that. You play with 0.1 science? Jeez, dude, you're hardcore. Yes, all of the RCS are like this, the little, yeah, those little thrusters, which are supposed to be the highest heat rated ones we have available to us. Yeah, reentry is always the hardest part with the shuttle. That's why it's one of the first things I test for. Like, if I have a design that can fly or glide, the very first thing to do is to throw it up really high and see what happens. If it can't re-enter, there's no point in continuing with your testing. This one's actually done well enough to where we're seeing if it can haul cargo back, which is something I've never done with the shuttle before. And considering I'm very, very distracted, I'm convinced it's going to fail. Yeah, that nose angle is lowering itself a little bit. Still not suborbital. Very high apogee. I think the greatest predictor of if your shuttle's going to re-enter is check the FAR readouts for a static sweep in the spaceplane hangar, and check it at altitudes of about 75 kilometers at Mach 20, and see how many red lines you get. The interesting part is if you build something that flies really well at Mach 5, it will not fly at all at Mach 20. I guess nothing really flies at Mach 20. You just... it's so fast. It's not really flying, it's... Okay, now we're starting to get some wiggle. Whoa, 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 whoa. No. No. Okay, what is up with you? Roll control. Let's get that nose up, please. Okay, mild panic. Do not want to do S-turns this time. I just want you to re-enter the atmosphere. I'd really prefer it if you did it all in one piece. Alright, now I'm leaning back on the stick, and almost futilely. Landing is the hardest part. Yes, but will that brick tumble while it's generating enough lift? It's the tumbling you have to worry about. Alright, there's our deorbit. Thank goodness. We're already on our first bounce. We're skipping back up. Thank goodness, because I was worried this thing was getting a little hard to handle. I'll say the F-117 is a friggin' miracle. If any pilot had to fly that without computer control, it would end very badly. Same thing with the B-2 Spirit. But, you know, that's what good code writing can do. Make things that shouldn't fly, fly. Alright, will you... Alright, we're only going to go up to about 76 kilometers, so I think I can check the map. Where are we, and where's our... Alright, there's our apoapsis. We still might come down just post-dawn in Florida. If not, of course, we will ditch in Louisiana like I've done so many times before. Alright, I would still like you to keep your nose up there, little homie. Got atmospheric autopilot at the ready just in case. And we'll see if this twin Russian-style nose gear thing works. It had better, or I'm going to be mildly upset. Ah, roll control, come on. Well, so far so good. We made it to deorbit and we didn't explode. Although now we're going to jump up to 80 kilometers. I guess we're still pushing our apoapsis further away. Yeah, alright, whatever. Yeah, we've not gotten to the super toasty bits, but I think that we're going to do enough bounce and skips to where maybe we won't. Yeah, there's our last landing site. A couple miles off the coast of Hawaii. Alright, let's bring that nose way, way up, see if we can't get some serious drag going. It'll pitch back, and then it will fall forward. Wonder if we actually have too much weight in the nose. So in real life, that is absolutely true. The Kerbal Space Program is a bit more forgiving. This thing actually glides pretty well. Although I don't think I've ever brought it home quite this fully loaded before, and certainly not with an extra 15 tons in the cargo bay, so... You know, that's why we're here. Running simulations. I wonder if this is just an artifact of the aerodynamics model, or if I actually do need many more thrusters to give us pitch authority during this phase of the descent. Yeah, we're still climbing. Holy jeez. Well, all that climbing is going to help us burn off some speed. I'll gladly trade some of this speed for altitude, I guess. Although it does mean we're going to come down a little sharper. Yeah, right now it looks like we're going to hit Mexico, but I think we're going to get at least one more solid skip off of this. I think really hitting Florida shouldn't be all that bad. Although maybe we should start directing ourselves a little northward. To see how well this works out for us. If history is a lesson, not at all. You know, the bigger ones don't have the heat tolerance to survive. It's like the old Shuriken shuttles. We just burned off all our thrusters on the way down, which was good in that fuel consumption rates on the thrusters went down as we got deeper into the atmosphere. But by the time fuel ran out, we literally had just like 2 thrusters on the back, and that was it. Well, Pulsified, it's been a very boring week for me. School and work, and this is the highlight of it so far. That was a very uneventful life. Okay, we're finally descending again. Oh, nice. Oh, man. I haven't had a first aid certification in probably 4 or 5 years. Should probably look into re-upping that. Yeah, I didn't think we could hold 45 degrees pitch. That would be ridiculous. Oh, JavaScript. Yeah. Well, I am instigating my first hangover of the week, human person. Drinking a Hoogarden, a Belgian I actually enjoy. Oh god, 120 beats per minute. That's got to be exhausting. I mean, really, they said if you're not ready to pass out after 5 minutes of CPR, you're probably doing it wrong. But yeah, good information, but they totally change that stuff like every 5 years, which makes sense. Learning stuff all the time. Prefer to have up-to-date knowledge, I guess. I don't know. Thankfully, I've never had to do CPR ever on anyone other than a dummy, and I hope it kind of stays that way. That's a lot of pressure. I don't know if I can handle that. Do not come too far off that vector, please. Stay put, stay put. That's the absolute worst case scenario, Wookie. Oh god. All the original episodes of ER posted to Hulu like 2 weeks ago. And Lady Crash was a huge fan, so guess what we're watching all the time? All I want to do is finish Altered Carbon. Is it really considered sneaking alcohol into a Bloody Mary if Bloody Marys come with alcohol already? No, me and vodka don't get along so well. We haven't talked in a couple of years. It is vodka, tomato juice, and celery, right? Am I remembering that correctly? Really? Video Game High School is an animated series. That's interesting. How did you get the dummy's chest to rise? Because that's an amazing prank, and I totally want to pull it on someone. I just need to know how you did it. Okay. Too many control inputs. Might be a sign that I'm gonna kick it out of control, and I don't want to do that. Oh, good. We're still on our way down. Here comes the toasties. I would like a little more nose up, if you, sir. Oh, do they? I guess none of the dummies I ever did CPR training on had a bladderized inside. It was, yeah, like a mouth to nowhere. I don't have any restrictions on it, so go for it. Yeah, I thought it was vodka. I've gotten so lazy in my old age, I just prefer to drink whiskey straight or beer. They require the least amount of effort. I had a long-standing love affair with vodka in my early 20s that very rarely ended well. Sorry, Pulsified, is the link how you made the chest rise, or is the link just info on CPR training dummies? I mean, I can't click it no matter what right now, so head will fall off it. Oh man, that's got to be traumatic. Like, I did my first CPR training in like 5th grade, maybe 10. Something like that would just be horrifying. Okay. I can't click on it right now because I have to hold this key down to see if we can do this reentry hands-on. Looks like, yeah, we're totally on our way back up. We're only gonna, right now it's 65 kilometers, but that looks like the coast of Mexico. So we might actually overshoot. Right now it doesn't look like we will. Yeah, we need to turn north a lot, actually. This might be the altitude to do it. At least a good place to try. Is an auto trim just holding Alt? SAS seems to be doing a fairly decent job. Zombocom? Alright, I have my hands off the controls currently, so I think we found a nice modicum of stability. I'm okay with it. We are on our way back down again. But I think that we might overshoot Florida by a fair amount. We're still going 6.3 kilometers per second. Eek. Maybe if we can turn north hard enough, we can just land somewhere. Go for Vandenberg. that, that would require turning around. Really? 10 seconds of lag? Ugh. Oh man. So, tell me if the stream is like frame rate dropping or just being otherwise dumb, because according to OBS here, I don't have any drop frames, which can't be right. My internet is not particularly good, but I'm showing decent uprate. Oh God, no! Look at what you've done to me. What blew up? Oh, we lost an engine. Oh no. That was the expensive part. Keep your nose up. Keep the nose up. Okay, we're getting into some real heating now. I think I have to pay attention to stuff. Alright, let's flatten this out. No time for S-turns. Alright, you got me pretty good. That was... Damn it. And so, after relaunching the game and getting the shuttle back out on the test pad, realizing that I had been charged for the previous simulation, even though the game was exited midway through, we ran another one, but with a little less time on the clock. So I've just sped this all up because this is all data that we already have. We know it'll launch, we know it'll roll, we know it'll get to orbit just fine. We actually went for a much different ascent path. We were never going to actually try for orbit on this launch. We just wanted to get high enough and fast enough to simulate coming back down. So after prematurely separating the EFT, we will light the OMS engines, eject the satellite from the cargo bay, and then get ready for the upper part of reentry, which we know it will survive just fine. Really, what I'm trying to figure out now is how it will behave when there's a little bit more air around it, and when aerodynamics and balance seem to matter just a little bit more. It goes through the first skip relatively easily, which we knew because it did that just fine last time. We're really just, we want to get it down to around 50 kilometers or so before we start to really jump back into the testing phase and see how well it will do with low-level actual flight instead of just falling with lots of style. So we went through a couple skips, we goofed off with the chat a whole lot, and then I will turn you back over to Live Me, who's going to try to bring this thing the rest of the way home. Alright, take my finger off the controls. Will it nose down? We'll nose up quite violently, and then go way down. Okay, that was a mistake. At least it's responsive as hell. Bikini Atoll. It was the Charlie Bravo test. Simulation gaming, I don't know how to pronounce that. Zeplotnisk? Plasnik? Is that where Zarbomba was tested? That would make Boris pretty happy. Thanks for hanging out, Pulsified. I will probably see you on Discord in the near future. But when this thing has its maiden flight, then we'll start taking name suggestions. So it does require a little bit of babysitting, but that's neither here nor there. Just a little bit of manual inputs. It's not, well, the Shuriken's kind of the same way. You kind of had to leave atmospheric autopilot on until you got to below about 1700 meters per second. Whereas with this, I have not used any piloting aids other than the stock SAS system, which bodes pretty well for it. Although we're getting into some of the thicker air now, so it's actually more of an aerodynamic test. But old me is going to interject here in just a second. All right, well, I guess we're just going to coast until we are subsonic, and then we'll try for a landing. Quality update there. Anyway, per old me's plan, we're just going to try to keep the nose level, try to keep altitude stable, and just let our speed bleed off until we've got something a little more reasonable, and we'll make a turn to kill off the rest of our speed and try to nose in and bring this thing home for a landing. Although, I guess because there is so much tonnage here, it does take a little while to bleed off some of that. But we're into the actual, like, regular cruising altitudes now, or regular high altitude cruising altitudes now. And it flies pretty well, but we kind of already knew this from our runway testing. It has actually survived the part that I did not think it was going to survive. The only thing really left to test is that nose gear, and how much speed we need to keep to see if this thing will bounce when it hits the ground, like everything else in 1.1.3. And that's where things got a little hairy. Alright, we got a lot of speed to bleed off before we try to touch this thing down. 1.1.3 wheels are not too kind at speeds above about 100 meters per second, so we're going to try to do that. We're only about 700 meters off the ground. This is this nice, careful ballet of trying to bleed off speed while also not stall. No, I don't want to speed up. Actually flies really well for being overweight and bloated as hell, all full of avgas and such. Alright, let's get the gear out. Down and locked. Alright, just a little more speed to bleed off and we should be good to go. Kennedy gets a lot of free passes here just because he got shot. I mean, not saying that he wasn't a good president, or at least he didn't try to do a lot of cool things. And, you know, kicking off the race to the moon was definitely pretty awesome, but I don't know. He didn't really have a chance to be president worth denoting. Alright, 105 meters per second. We slowed down entirely too much, so flare. 145 meters altitude. Come on, don't stall. Don't stall. Nice and gentle. Nice and gentle. Oh, we're gonna hit like a brick. Bounce! Smash! Well, that ended poorly. Apparently we have 3 crew in this landing gear. Alright, had I been paying attention and not botched that landing so entirely, they probably would have lived. The emphasis there is probably, but it's enough for me to want to go ahead and go through with it, although I will probably do some just static runway testing and see if those front landing gears snap when we put some weight on them for real and not just smashing them into the ground. But I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. Back in the VAB, I did try to adjust the texture of the tail fins to absolutely no avail. I guess what I actually ended up doing was reverting the tail fins back to their stock shape and then having to reload the craft to make sure that I didn't save it that way. And after opening up this menu, nothing else would work. Yeah, there's me really royally screwing things up. But I did try, and I got nothing out of it. I just assumed that being able to change the color of the tail fins would be in the right-click menu. It is not in the right-click menu. Apparently, it is in the procedural wings menu. But now we know. Anyway, we've reverted it back to what it should be as far as what it was before. And I'm going to place a core and try to angle it with the engine so that we have a better point of reference as far as to what our thrust angle is. But of course, I have plans to move the EFT and re-angle the engines a little bit. And so all of that will need to get redone just a little bit. But I went back to try to change texture some more to absolutely no avail. Hitting the color tab does absolutely nothing, which was really disappointing, honestly. It'd be kind of neat if I could just make those all the white tile texture instead of the thermal tile texture, but I guess I'll just have to be disappointed. Anyway, that's going to do it for this recap episode, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one. So, until then, see you later.